On a cold morning before sunrise, a young man named Ethan sat alone on the edge of his small bed, staring at the cracked walls of his tiny apartment, feeling completely defeated, without direction or hope, because life had hit him harder than he ever imagined, and for months he had been waiting, silently praying, desperately wishing that someone, anyone, would come and pull him out of his darkness. But no one came, and the world around him continued moving without noticing his struggle, his pain, or his silent cries. And as he stood up with heavy shoulders and tired eyes, he felt the weight of every mistake he had ever made resting on his back, reminding him of how many times he had failed, how many dreams he had abandoned, and how many promises he had broken to himself. And as he walked through the silent streets, the cold wind hitting his face like truth he didn't want to hear, he realized how empty his life had become. Because everything he was, everything he wanted to be, everything he hoped for, was quietly drowning inside him, and no one knew, no one asked, and no one cared. And that simple, painful truth cut deeper than anything else. But it was this truth that would change everything, because as he reached the old bridge where he used to stand as a child dreaming of a bigger life, the same place where he once promised himself he would become someone strong, someone brave, someone unbreakable, he felt something inside him shift, something old, something forgotten, something powerful, and for the first time in a long time, he looked around and truly saw the world, not as a place that had abandoned him, but as a place still full of possibilities. And in that moment, a thought hit him like lightning, a thought so sharp and so real that it stopped him in his tracks, a thought he had avoided all his life. Nobody is coming to save me, so I must save myself. And suddenly everything made sense, because he finally understood that waiting was the enemy, hoping someone would rescue him was the trap, and believing others would fix his life was the reason he kept falling. And as he stood there with the sunrise slowly lighting the world in gold, he made a decision that would change his story forever. A decision simple but powerful, that every step forward from this moment would be taken by him, for him, because of him. And he walked back home with a new fire in his chest, with a new voice in his heart, whispering, "Start small, but start." And so he cleaned his room, washed his face, made his bed, wrote his goals, deleted the distractions, stood tall in the mirror, and promised himself that even on the days when he felt weak, lost, and tired, he would keep moving, even if it was one tiny step at a time, because forward was forward, and growth was growth, and effort was victory. And as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, Ethan transformed quietly, slowly, beautifully, becoming the kind of person he once believed he could never be. And every night he reminded himself of that morning on the bridge, that moment of painful clarity, that moment when he learned the greatest truth of his life. That strength comes from standing up alone. Courage comes from choosing yourself, and success comes from refusing to wait for rescue. And now whenever someone asks him how he changed his life, he smiles softly and says, "The day I realized nobody was coming to save me was the day I finally saved myself." And that became the beginning of the life he had been dreaming of all along.